A few months ago, I had a Wizz Air flight get delayed for 4 hours, and thanks to EU regulations, I got more compensation than the original price of my ticket. Naturally, this made me wonder, can you get rich, or at least be profitable, by booking tickets with the hope that a flight is delayed? The answer, according to math, is in a very specific case where there's a cheap flight originating in a Sicilian airport on a 3-year-old Airbus. Maybe. Let's see how we can drive some numbers. First, what are the regulations? For EU flights, the delay compensation is between 250 and 600 euros for 3-hour delays, depending on the flight distance. UK regulations are quite similar. Weather reasons are excluded from compensation, so we'll try to remove those accordingly. So, to be profitable, or have a positive expected value, we need the probability of the delay times the reward to be greater than the price of the ticket. Because the ticket prices need to be crazy low and the service needs to often be delayed, we're going to check the 4 major low-cost European airlines: Wizz Air, Ryanair, EasyJet, and Vueling. Now, obviously, Turkish Airlines is the worst airline globally, but they've had too many non-European routes and would complicate things, so we'll just stick to the budget 4. Comment below your least favorite airline and your worst airline experience. Using Flight Radar, we pulled the flight history of each carrier over the last 3 years. This gives us the airplane type, age, origin airports, destination airports, and the scheduled and actual departure and arrival times. Before we get into the modeling math, let's take a look at some graphs. Ryanair has the most registered planes of all these carriers at 611. It's primarily Boeing 737s, with a few Bombardier Challengers and a Learjet 45. The 3 other carriers are entirely Airbus-based, split between A321s, A320s, and A319s. The age of the planes is pretty similar between the carriers, skewing quite young with some spikes. The most popular airports are Barcelona, London Gatwick, London Stansted, Dublin, and Milan. And the most popular routes by our low-cost carriers mostly involve Barcelona, to Palma, Ibiza, Gatwick, Rome, and Milan. The non-Barcelona routes are Stansted Dublin, Milan Catania, Gatwick Dublin, Gatwick Malaga, and Rome Paris. For awareness, most of the planes aren't just going back and forth between 2 airports. You can see that just one Ryanair plane will go on quite a journey over the course of 3 years. Now, to the delays. Just 0.62% of all journeys are delay compensation eligible. That might make you think, okay, there's no way we could possibly be profitable. But let's split this up a bit. When comparing on carrier, we get 0.4% of Vueling, 0.55 and 0.56% of EasyJet and Ryanair, and a whopping 1.16% of Wizz Air flights. I had to double check this number, but yes, Wizz Air is about twice as likely as its competitors to be compensation eligible. Contrary to what you might expect, the newer planes from 3 to 5 years old, or even brand new planes less than 3 years old, have a higher chance of the 3-hour delay than their older 15 or 20 plus year old counterparts. The math doesn't tell us why, but perhaps it's related to more frequent maintenance schedules on older planes, or specific route usage. Maybe a pilot YouTuber could give us the answer. And of course, the arrival and destination airports make major changes to the likelihood of compensation-based delays. We see the top 5 and bottom 5 airports, excluding the outlier airports that rarely fly. CIY Airport in Sicily has a 4.3% chance of a 3+ hour delay as an origin airport and a 3.88% chance as a destination airport, being the highest on both lists. So if you're flying in or out of Sicily, best of luck to you. Bacău, Romania, Plovdiv, Bulgaria, Zagreb, Croatia, and Sarajevo, Bosnia round out the top 5 origin delays. Hanover, Germany, Salcia, Romania, Skopje, North Macedonia, and Katowice, Poland round out the top 5 destination delays. All of the data that we've collected allows us to create a model that determines the route, departure time, and airplane information that is most likely to get us to our compensation limits. We use a logistic regression model for the explaining. Regression can be thought of as drawing a line or curve between all known outcomes to minimize the distance between the curve and the data. Then, when new data is inputted, our estimated outcome is based off of that curve. It can sometimes be more of an art than a science, because we can run the risk of overfitting, which will decrease the accuracy of our model when tested on new data. So generally, we split our data into training and test sets to ensure we don't overfit. I also trained a neural networks model. The neural networks are generally a bit higher accuracy, but substantially lower explainability. You can think of them as a sort of black boxes that tune the importance of different features in multiple steps. Because the outcome of this model is generally just a bunch of coefficients, it's not useful for explainable analysis. So let's take a look at the regression model outcome. The highest importance factors as to whether we'll have delay compensation are airports of origin and departure, carrier, and aircraft type. Lower importance for aircraft age, time of date, and time of year. A Sicily origin and Hanover destination are 36% more likely and 42% more likely to be compensation eligible, respectively. Ryanair is our best carrier if we want the 3+ hour delay, increasing our odds by 21.9%. The astute listener will say, wait, you just told me that Wizz Air was twice as likely to be delayed. How is Ryanair the best odds now? Well, the regression controls for everything. Effectively, it is telling us that Wizz Air flies the harder routes, or with the harder planes, or at the harder times, and that if Wizz Air and Ryanair flew the same route at the same time with the same plane, Ryanair would be more likely to get delayed by 3+ hours. So, with the output likelihoods, we know that if we can purchase a Ryanair ticket from Sicily to Hanover on an A321neo at 3 p.m. in August, our probability is an astounding 56% chance according to the model. At a price of 224 euros, we would have an expected net profitability. Scrolling through the ticket prices, I do see some Ryanair tickets going for as low as 18 euros. So, let's go make some money.